Welcome to Facing the Middle East, our news program where we focus on issues from that region, uncovering stories in context. It's the place you meet people you want to know. I'm Felice Friedson. On today's program, we visit Magar, a Druze village in northern Israel, to understand the impact of Syria's new government on Druze living amid turmoil. We also report exclusively on a Druze women's tech hub. The war between Hamas and Israel has left almost 2 million Gazans without homes to return to. We report from Gaza and speak to locals about President Trump's reconstruction and relocation plan. The Media Line recently covered a new project that Israeli President Isaac Herzog initiated, bringing together Jewish leaders from around the world. Before we begin, I want to share what's on my mind. The recent fighting between pro-Assad forces and the rebel government escalated to a trembling point in the Syrian town of Latakia. About 1,000 Alawites and 7 Christians were recently killed. The immediate surfacing of misleading headlines online was disturbing, with calls of massacres of Christians, as well as no clarity on the numbers of those killed. We're becoming immune to the conflicts that are running rampant in our world, and this is frightening. The Media Line isn't always the first to race to jump on the headline, but rather to check on the sources and the unfolding events. Our journalist in Syria, Rizek Alabi, spoke with Christian clergy who verified that it wasn't hundreds of Christians that were massacred. Hundreds of Christians? Massacred? These particular words were used in certain publications. They are misleading and dangerous. Overinflated numbers of the slaying of a Christian minority in Syria, which has faced discrimination and still fears the worst under the new regime, leaves room for counter-reactions by both the government in power and outside actors. Not to take away from the severity of what has happened to the Alawites, which is a worrisome sign of what may lie ahead, the outpouring that came from the Christian community regarding the plight of the Christian minority in Syria was vast. The headlines misled many. Some began questioning the reality on the ground. A little less keyboard clicking and more judgment will go a long way toward protecting those who live in seriously unpredictable situations. It takes patience and responsible journalism to ensure facts are correct and not misleading. We can't lose our sense of consciousness over algorithms just to rank one notch higher on the web or social media. It's our job to right the wrong and the public's responsibility to seek out the truth. Next time you see a headline that isn't validated, seems misleading, or isn't backed up with facts, check it out, research other sources, and rely on your own sense of scrutiny. In this episode, we look at the Druze, a small Arabic-speaking religious minority mainly in Syria, Lebanon, and Israel, with a distinct faith and strong communal identity. In a first, Syrian Druze were recently allowed to make a pilgrimage to a holy site in Israel, and the Israeli government just voted to permit the employment of Syrian Druze within the borders of the Jewish state. Druze Israelis discuss whether the creation of their own state is on the horizon. Nestled in the hills of northern Israel, Magar is a town where Druze, Muslims, and Christians have coexisted for generations. With a population of approximately 22,000, the town is home to around 60% Druze, 20% Muslims, and 20% Christians. The Druze, a close-knit and historically significant community, has around 150,000 people living in Israel. Beyond its borders, approximately 750,000 Druze live in Syria, facing ongoing turmoil, while Lebanon is home to nearly 200,000, many of whom have played pivotal roles in the region's history. The Druze in Israel have carved out a unique identity, serving in the army, holding key positions in the state, and preserving their traditions amid the complexities of the Middle East.
From the time of Israel's establishment, the Druze have been part of the country. We serve and contribute at every level in the government, including the army. The Druze have served in the army since the establishment of the state. They serve and take a very active and central role in security affairs and also in civil affairs. Regarding our identity, first of all, we are Druze. Despite some inner differences, tied to each community's geographical location, and the way we perceive ourselves personally. In our case, we are Druze, Arab by culture, and Israeli by nationality. In terms of religion, we follow the Druze beliefs, but on a societal level, we are connected to both Arabs and Israelis. Druze are not interested in their own state, but are simply connected to the place they belong to, and are willing to protect it at any cost. This is why, for us, serving in the Israeli military is not just an obligation, it is a commitment to the land we live in. Our community has always built bridges, not walls. The community in the Galilee recognizes itself as Israeli Druze, but Druze living in the Golan or other areas in the region feel differently compared to us. I've seen firsthand the reality of war over these past months by fighting in Gaza. As Druze, we feel the conflict from both sides, since we speak Arabic and are connected to the Arab side, and are also citizens of this country and sympathize with the Jews. Despite the wars, people here want peace. I fight because I want to grant peace in this land one day. I fight on the good side. I chose this side.
The idea of a Druze state has resurfaced in light of growing instability in Syria. While some dream of a unified Druze homeland, leaders from within the community remain skeptical. For them, survival has always been about integration rather than separation.
I don't think there will be a Druze state. I think that the Druze in Syria should stick to their country if the country protects them. If the country does otherwise, they need to take control of the situation and protect themselves. They cannot be abandoned. As Druze, we will never be against each other. The Druze in Syria are Syrians in every way. No one can deny it. Historically, the ones who liberated Syria are the Druze, Sultan Pasha al-Atrash. In 1925, exactly 100 years ago, this coming July 1st, it is exactly 100 years since the beginning of the Druze uprising against the French in Syria. Druze have always been part of Syria, but today it is all changed, despite the country's historical, diverse composition of ethnicities and people. There is today a fundamentalist power in control in an unstable situation. Alawites, Christians, and Druze, for this reason, need to protect themselves, and we are here in Israel to protect them as well.
The massacre of Alawites in Syria was a turning point. Druze communities, fearing similar threats, have begun arming themselves. Israel, with its historic ties to the Druze, faces questions about its role in the crisis. While some Druze in Syria have sought Israel's help, others have refused it, wary of outside intervention and the political ramifications. Reports indicate that Israel has offered weapons and support to the Druze in Syria, but not all within the community have accepted this aid, highlighting internal divisions and fears of regional backlash. Can Israel remain on the sidelines?
I don't think a Druze state is the answer. I don't think the Druze should be separated from the rest of Syria. I truly hope that Syria will be stable in the long term, but it seems far away. Syria is in a very dangerous situation. After the fall of Bashar Assad, it is not clear where this new power is heading. We saw the murders of the Alawites happening in Latakia and Tartus. Images that are horrendous with bodies on the streets. We are truly hoping that we don't see this against the Druze there. We want everyone to live peacefully in Syria, Druze, Alawites, and Christians alike, all minorities. The Christians are in danger because they live in mixed cities such as Hama and could face more challenges in defending themselves compared to the Druze that live close to the mountains and just within their communities. Hopefully, we won't reach any tragic scenario.
From Magar, northern Israel, Giorgia Valente reporting for the Media Line.
News needs trained journalists. The Media Line, the first American nonprofit news agency covering the Middle East, has mentored scores of students from prestigious American universities and around the globe. We are one of the best-kept secrets. Universities are partners. Students receive credit. In order to bring you trusted news, we need support for our future journalists. Please make your tax-deductible gift today. Go to themedialine.org.
In the heart of Daliyat al-Carmel, a northern Israeli town steeped in 400 years of Druze heritage, modern technology meets ancient culture. This unique space empowers young women to thrive in Israel's tech-driven workforce. Tucked inside a shopping complex, the hum of clacking keyboards fills the air as a group of skilled women pioneers a future where tradition and innovation coexist. Reem Kadmani, 24, grew up in a traditional Druze household. While her father worked as a businessman, her mother stayed home, a common scenario in Israel's Druze community where only 40% of women are employed. Breaking the mold, Reem earned a degree in software engineering from Broad College in Carmiel.
After I graduated, I wanted to earn new skills and to learn new techniques, so I decided to join Lotus.
The job is tough but fulfilling, she says, adding that one of the most rewarding aspects is seeing more women thrive in tech. The idea for an all-women Druze tech hub wasn't just about a lack of female role models. Traditional Druze practices like restrictions on driving or working in mixed-gender environments create barriers for women entering tech. That's why Maisa Halabi al-Sheikh, a mother of 3 and founder of Lotus, created a space where Druze values meet cutting-edge technology.
And what I wanted to do is to make a tech hub for women, that they can also have trainings and also they can work remotely and, and to dream and to fulfill themselves and to be also a great mom and have a great future to our children.
Due to the close-knit Druze community and past negative media experiences, Halabi al-Sheikh requested her face remain hidden during the interview. A photo of the 12 Druze children killed by Hezbollah in July sits on a table, a stark reminder of the recent tragedy for Israel's 150,000-strong Druze community. On the conference room wall, a large pink flower symbolizes Lotus, representing resilience and growth, much like the Druze women it empowers. Funded by the Portland Trust, which supports underrepresented communities in Israel, Lotus is breaking barriers. Dressed in traditional black and a veil, al-Sheikh shares her journey. Once aspiring to be a journalist, she chose a religious path at 15 and now pioneers change for her community.
I knew then that my dreams will be changed because my reality changed.
6 years since its founding, Lotus now employs 100 Druze women across 14 companies.
I saw that I have skills that I didn't know I had before. I saw that I was connected to this world. I love code. I love writing code. And I just didn't know that I had these skills before. Not at all.
Sally Hamdan, a 30-year-old mother of 2 who has worked at the hub for almost 5 years, said that new generations of Druze girls are now opening their eyes to their potential. Although she studied electronics in high school, she did not pursue a university degree, but with her family's full support, she went through training.
It's a challenge, but if you want to, it's something that's possible.
Lotus's success inspired Sheikh Mowaffaq Tarif, the Druze spiritual leader and a partner in the initiative, to launch 5 Tech, a similar hub for men to enter tech while upholding traditional values. Despite Sheikh Tarif's support, some older community members struggle to accept Druze women in tech. When 27-year-old Noor Abarish joined the hub, her parents were initially hesitant and fearful.
They thought to themselves, what would a religious Druze woman, what are her chances in high tech, in Israeli high tech? Because the numbers are very little, and also I think there wasn't enough exposure to high tech in our community.
Eventually, her parents gained more of a sense of trust. Abarish now works as a quality assurance tester at TestNet on a project for Zim, the Israeli shipping company.
It has to do a lot with changing perceptions and believing that nothing is impossible and you can still be yourself and, guard your beliefs and your image and the way you portray yourself to the community, and also be up to date with what's modern. And
Al-Sheikh envisions expansion, especially given the geopolitical developments on Israel's borders.
I want to have 3 hubs like this, 2, one on the Galil and one else on the Golan Heights. If we will have peace, and also I want in Lebanon and Syria, and I want the high tech to be like more diverse and to be equal.
An on and off war and ceasefire has created a complex situation on the ground in Gaza. The Media Line explains the divisions of responsibilities between Israel, Gaza, Qatar, Egypt, and the United States in facilitating the return of residents to the northern Gaza Strip and the distribution of humanitarian aid. We also hear from Gazans about their resilience and their view of the American resettlement plan.
More than 500,000 Palestinians were granted over the past 2 months limited access between the northern and southern Gaza Strip via the Netzarim corridor, a strategic route controlled by Israel that divides the north from the south. Movement is tightly regulated, with pedestrians allowed to cross starting at 7 a.m. via the Al-Rashid coastal road, while vehicles can use Salah al-Din Street from 9 a.m., restricted to just 100 cars per day. Security checks are conducted to prevent the smuggling of weapons. Several key actors are central to this process. Hamas, as Gaza's governing authority, oversees internal movement, while Israel maintains control over external borders and checkpoints along the corridor. Egypt, managing the Rafah crossing, plays a vital intermediary role, facilitating movement and addressing humanitarian needs. Qatar contributes by leveraging its political influence to ensure the delivery of essential supplies. Meanwhile, U.S. forces provide additional security oversight at checkpoints, balancing humanitarian efforts with security measures. As many Gazans line up to head north to their homes, emotions run high.
Our feelings are indescribable. Between the happiness and sadness for those who have left and the destruction we saw, and what we'll see in Gaza and the north, all the north has been destroyed. All the houses of my family are gone. Only the houses of a few people remain. We don't know what they will return to.
Those who arrived in the north faced overall destruction, and the majority found themselves with no home to return to. Despite that, mixed feelings prevailed among the people.
I came yesterday. I left the south at 10 a.m. and arrived here at 11 p.m. We slept in the streets. We came to the north. We came with nothing. We walked 15 kilometers. Where are all the Arabs? Hezbollah and all the others? We will not take revenge on them. There is nothing in it.
Many argue, given the status of destruction, that Trump's plan to move all Palestinians out of the Strip to Jordan and Egypt would be a better option for their future stability, but Gazans strongly oppose the idea. Who wants to leave their home? We don't want to migrate elsewhere. Gaza is our country. How can we leave to another country? This is unacceptable. Even the presidents of the Arab countries refuse this. Why do they refuse? Because of the deportation. Who wants to leave their home? We want to live in Gaza. Rihab al-Kakhlot from the Jabalia refugee camp is the mother of 3 Palestinian prisoners.
I'm from Jabalia. The inhabitants of Jabalia are the symbols of resistance. Jabalia was the beginning and the end of the battle. God willing, there won't be any battles or any problems after this day, because we are steadfast in our country, steadfast in our homes.
Al-Kakhlot's 3 sons were arrested by the IDF during operations inside Jabalia camp at the beginning of the war and taken to the new military prison at Sde Teiman. She says they were tortured there, a claim that the Media Line cannot substantiate. Israel did not include them in the list of Palestinian prisoners set to be released in the first stage of the deal due to their affiliation with Hamas.
I have 3 children, Ibrahim, who is 27 years old, and Munir and Ahmad, both 25 years old. All of them were taken from the camp by the occupation forces in 2024. I didn't have any information about them before the current prisoner swaps. But now I know for sure they suffer torture in State Iman prison. That's all I know.
Overall, despite Israel claiming to have succeeded in dismantling Hamas in the Strip, many Gazans emphasize the resilience of the resistance and of its ideology after 18 months of war.
We cannot be defeated by anyone in the land of Palestine. There is no enemy in the north of Gaza, and there is no enemy other than the Zionists. At the end of the conflict, they made this agreement and left. They allowed the people to return to the north of Gaza, and they didn't achieve anything because our land will win again. Certainly the people of Palestine are people of resistance. Palestine's children are resistance fighters, its daughters are resistance fighters, its youth are resistance fighters, its men are resistance fighters, and its women are resistance fighters.
Even children and women showed their support.
We are happy today. This is a great day. Hamas came out and freed us. And we took pictures with them, and we were happy today. Today was a good day, and they released our prisoners. And God willing, my brother, the prisoner Tariq Nuruddin, will be released. God willing, they will all be released in peace.
We want to rebuild the North with the resilience of our youth. All women must bear and get used to martyrdom. I have 53 martyrs in my family. My brothers, my sisters, my children, my brothers, people of my age, they were doctors, lawyers, and so on. But this is the resistance. This is our people.
Not every Gazan is against leaving Gaza, as most are left with nothing to return to. There is nothing left. My mother and father were martyred. We have a terrible situation in our house. Our house was destroyed and shelled. When will we rebuild it? How long will it take to rebuild it? I am with this plan. If there is a way to emigrate, I will emigrate. I will emigrate. I will emigrate because there is no life left. I have no energy left. I am with Trump's plan. The Media Line reports from Gaza.
Voice of the People is a groundbreaking initiative launched by Israeli President Isaac Herzog to galvanize Jewish communities worldwide through collaborative efforts, fostering unity, strengthening shared identity, and addressing global Jewish challenges together.
150 Jewish leaders from around the world convened in Israel's northern city of Haifa for President Isaac Herzog's inaugural Voice of the People Council. They spent a week addressing critical challenges facing their community, ranging from anti-Semitism to strengthening Israel and diaspora ties. This marks the beginning of a 2-year collaborative effort aimed to tackle pressing communal challenges, harness data-driven insights, and chart a unified course for the next chapter of the Jewish future.
This is a historic initiative. This has never happened before. To have 150 Jews, representing the 15 million Jews coming here to actually plan how we tackle those challenges, but also getting to know each other.
We were basically selected to wrestle with, think about, and develop new solutions for a new Jewish future. And you will see when you interview more people and talk to them, that we represent an incredible wealth of Jewish diversity from across the globe.
Sessions throughout the summit explored themes such as adaptive leadership, resilience in times of crises, and the role of technology and data in shaping the Jewish future. Each member of the council was chosen by an algorithm that was specifically made for this project, with the intention to showcase a spectrum of Jewish experiences and backgrounds.
The algorithm had more than 100 conditions with regards to, men and women, and geographically spread of the people, Jewish affiliation, professions, and personalities, doers, builders, thinkers, entrepreneurs, storytellers. How do we bring all those into one room?
It literally is my life's work to make a positive impact on the Jewish world, and I think this is a perfect platform for that. And we have diversity of religiosity, of origins, of all kinds of things, cultures, languages, and I've learned so much from people.
It's very important for me that out there, when people will think about the image of the Jew, it will not be mainly European white Jew, but to show the diversity, to show that there are Jews from all over the world.
The urgency of showcasing Jewish diversity took on a new meaning after the brutal attack on October 7th. Among leading the charge, Yuval David, a prominent actor and filmmaker known for his passionate activism in defense of the Jewish community.
Right now, every Jew and ally needs to be a better advocate because we're losing the battle for our people.
And what does losing the battle look like?
Losing the battle? What does losing the battle look like? Losing the battle looks like the wars that we're seeing that of nations and terrorist organizations attacking Israel and attacking Jews internationally. Losing the battle means losing Jewish safety on college campuses. Losing the battle means Jewish businesses being targeted. Losing the battle means Jews in the United States, where almost half of the world Jewish population, and Jews around the world feeling afraid to walk around with a Magen David, where Jews who are demonstratively Jewish are unsafe. That is losing the battle.
The voices of the people, including that of project organizer President Isaac Herzog, emphasize that they aren't going down without a fight, and each council member has their own idea of what that means.
We must fight back. I tell everybody, fight back, don't be afraid, raise your voice, be proud of yourself. And we meet endlessly with so many groups and we tell them, we kind of charge them and tell them, go back, don't be afraid, and of course be proud of Israel.
Over the course of 1 week, 150 strangers became colleagues, friends, and allies. In the end, they left Haifa as ambassadors, committed to sharing their vision of the Jewish future.
What I think we need to do is help them understand the events of October 7th, the monsterhood that is Hamas, and create bright lines between that and the Palestinian people, and finding a way to be pro-Palestine but be anti-Hamas, to be pro-Israelis even if you don't agree with the government. And it's on us to be those ambassadors for Israel, for Jews, for everything.
From Haifa, I'm Simcha Pasko, reporting for the Media Line.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Facing the Middle East, where we unlock the hidden truths of the world's most contentious region. We encourage you to read and share our stories produced by our seasoned journalists throughout the Middle East and invite you to learn what journalism is truly about. Go to themedialine.org for news you need to know and trust.
Do you trust your news sources? Are you tired of one-sided reporting? You need to know the Media Line to know the Middle East.
The world needs news you can trust.
The Media Line's reporters are in the streets of Cairo, Jerusalem, Ramallah, and Sana'a, bringing you stories in context which shape your views and decisions. The Media Line is the first independent, non-profit American news agency covering the Middle East. It's the best-kept secret in the news business. Discover for yourself why the Media Line is relied upon by government officials and media outlets worldwide.
Bringing you the stories which impact your lives.
Support the trusted Mideast news source today by going to themedialine.org. You need to know the Media Line to know the Middle East.
Now in our 25th year, your support matters.